Hello and welcome back to Seaside Garage. You join me in a moment that I really shouldn't have done. I just bought another car, and to be honest, I don't really need more project cars at the moment, but I haven't really figured out how to say no just yet. And this car came up, not even for sale actually. I was offered this car by a viewer of the channel. I have to admit that pretty much all cars from pre-2000 is on my bucket list, but this one is pretty high up there. This is my second sports car in my lifetime. I have only owned one sports car before this one, and yeah, of course you can argue that a hot hatch is a sports car, but it's also not. And this is a sports car. It's also not a sports car really, but it depends on how you look at it. This is a Porsche 924 2.0, the one with the reliable engine, and it's awesome. And as you can see, this is not the normal way that I receive my project cars. I'm actually driving it home. It is not with number plate, it is with testing number plates, but there's actually an MOT that has just expired, but it has not been driven for a while. It is in perfectly running condition though, so there was no reason why I shouldn't just drive it home. And everything seems fine so far. Brakes are just fine, lights are just fine, everything is fine. I hope you can see something because it is a bit late in the day, but I am driving home in my first Porsche, and this is the first time that I ever driven a Porsche, to be honest. I haven't tried a lot of special sporty cars in my lifetime. So yeah, this is the first time in a Porsche, and it's the first time I drive a Porsche. And if you're sitting behind the screens and thinking this is not really a Porsche, I don't care. This is a Porsche in my world, and it's the perfect Porsche for me because it is built around pretty common parts from Audi and VW. So parts are pretty easy to get and cheap, and yeah, it's the perfect sports car for my kind of likings. So this is not the typical Seaside Garage project car, but it is a project car. You might be able to see that it needs some work in here. It needs some work outside. It needs some mechanical work. I got a very noisy throw-out bearing, for instance, and it's pulling slightly to the left. And there's a lot of small things. The rev counter, which is the coolest rev counter in the world, is not working. There's a lot of stuff to be done on this car, and a lot of stuff that will be very fun to do on this car. And to be honest, I haven't really decided what the plan for this is just yet. As mentioned, a very nice guy from my local area contacted me. Actually, last year he contacted me and asked me if he could hire me to fix it up and get it through the MOT for him. Unfortunately, I did not have the time because I was wrestling a Citroën XM. But then he wrote to me a couple of weeks back that if I was interested in buying it, if we could find a good price, because I told him back then that I really liked these cars. So I went to visit him, and I knew that would be dangerous because when I see a car like this, I will have a hard time letting it go. So I was just, after that visit, I was just going through the internet looking at all videos about 924 and all that. So and yeah, I couldn't resist. I just had to buy it. So it was not planned. I'm working on a lot of other cars at the moment, but this is not a big project. And right now, right this moment, I just want to get this through the MOT and then just start using it as a daily, because this is a perfect daily for me. Currently, I'm using the Citroën CX, and that's perfect too, but this one is just as good and might even be a little bit better, because this is going to get, even though it's a Porsche, it's going to feel a little bit weird saying it, but this will get almost double the amount of kilometers on a liter of fuel than the CX. The CX is getting 7.5, I think. This one should be able to return 12. Most likely it's more 10 to 11 or something like that, but that is still much better. So it could be, and also it could be so fun to have a Porsche as a daily driver for a while. I'm not going to say no to that. So I think that will be the plan for it, at least right now. Of course, I have to take a better look at it. The seller told me everything he knew was wrong, but you never know on a car like this. So there could be much more lying underneath than what meets the eye at first glance. But it seems as a pretty healthy 1982 car. I'm pretty optimistic at least. So far the drive home is going pretty nice. I had to get used to the driving position, the very heavy steering. There is no power assist in this one. If there is, it's not working. I don't think there are. It's very different from driving a Citroën CX, of course, but I'm slowly getting to learn it. This is the 2.1 Audi engine, developing 125 horsepower, so of course it's not a rocket ship, but it's very interesting in the layout because the engine is up front. That's interesting because it's a Porsche, at least back then, because that was the first Porsche with the engine up front, I think. But the gearbox is back over the rear, is back at the rear, so it got a transaxle and a very good weight distribution of 51 to 49, I think. So the balance in this car is pretty awesome. Rear-wheel drive, of course. So it's not a speed demon, but it's a handler. And I can feel that I'm still getting to learn it, and I'm not pushing this car on the drive home on test number plates and without really knowing what's what. I know it's safe to drive, but I don't know how the rest of the components are, and the wheels are, the tires are old and all that. And now I think I have used all my money, so I'm not gonna buy anything else. Just, you never know what comes around the corner. But this was just, I had to try to own this. And I bought it, and I bought it pretty cheaply. And it's, I'd say it's the cheapest Porsche 924 in the country. And it's not the worst, that's for sure. So I think I did good on this one. Porsches are also always climbing in prices. Of course, this one will never be extremely expensive. It would have to be a turbo or a Carrera GT or something like that to really become expensive, but I'm not gonna lose money over it, I'm pretty sure of that. And it is really driving nicely. Oh, the rev counter started to work. You can feel the German engineering of stuff that's just, it's the good period of German engineering, the 80s and 70s. They made some pretty good stuff back then. At one point, I will show this car in full. I don't know when, because right now I'm working on so much else, but it will come back at one point, that's for sure. I just wanted to, I cannot keep having a new car a secret for you guys for long, because I just want to tell all about it, and I'm really stoked for this car. And as mentioned, this is only my second sports car I ever owned. I owned a Saab Sornet, and then this one. Both of them were yellow, and both of them slightly underpowered, but sports cars nonetheless. And this is a real sports car because it's rear-wheel drive, and that is something. And it got pop-up headlights. Yeah. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.